Hello peers, I am Joshua Del Santos and I am a student from DA Ed 1. And for now, we talk about language and communication. But first, we have to know what is language. So, linguists agree that a language can only be called language if it has a system of rules, also known as grammar, and a sound system, also known as phonology, and a vocabulary, also known as lexicon. People can understand each other because they belong to the same speech community. So people can understand each other because in their speech community and they share the same set of rules in the language system. While growing up, people acquired the languages used by those in the community. And this is the process or called language acquisition. So the language acquired while growing up are known as mother tongues, which means also be also referred to as first language. People discover later on that other language are needed for various reasons. This other language may be referred to as a second language. Like this, for example, the word hello in other language, they call it hala, bonjour, hello, hola. Yeah, that is the example. So, people learn this language by studying formally in school or informally on their own. This is the process of language learning. Your own language may also change as you constantly interact and to communicate with each other. Language change is the result of language contact. So that's all for the nature of language. And let's move on for the next topic. The next topic is the meaning, nature, and types of communication. So that's all and thank you.
Communication is defined as the exchanging of thoughts, ideas, concepts, and views between two or more people. A two-way process of sending and receiving information through the common system of sign, symbols, and body language. So communications have three types. First is the communications according to mode. Second is communications according to purpose and style. Then third is the communications according to context. First types of communication is communications according to mode. First is the verbal communication. Verbal communication is the transmission of ideas, opinions, feelings, emotions, or attitude through the use of words. So that it is the most effective communication calls for the blending of these two types. One cannot be separated from each other. So next is nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is the sending of message to another persons utilizing methods or means other in words, such as the use of body language. Then visual communication. Visual communication uses visuals to convey informations or messages. It can be signs, symbols, graphs, charts, diagrams, pictograms, drawings, or imagery, or even electronics communications such as emojis. There are 5 types of communications according to context. The interpersonal communication, the intrapersonal communication, the extended communication, the organizational communication, and last is the intercultural communication. So intrapersonal communication is communication with yourself. It is a very personal communications where you are both the sender and the receiver of information or messages. So, interpersonal communication is dyadic communication. It is the communication that involves two persons or two group of persons who share the rules of sender and the receiver. Next is the extended communication. It involves the use of electronic media like television, audio phone, video conferencing, Skype calls, and other technological means. So next is the organizational communication. Organizational communication is focused on the role that communication plays in organizational context. Organization comprise individuals who work for the company. The intercultural communication is communication between or among two people having different linguistic, religion, gender, ethics, social, and professional background. According to Forposive style, we have formal and informal communication. Formal communications employs formal language delivered orally or in written form, such as lecture, public talks, speeches, research and project proposal, report, and business letters. So next is informal communication. Informal communication does not employ formal language. It involves personal or ordinary conversation with friends, family members, or acquaintances about anything under the sun.
The general principles of effective communication are know your purpose in communicating. Are you communicating basically to inform, to entertain, or to pursue? Are you communicating to socialize? Know your audience. Know your audience as it will dictate the speaking or writing style you are going to employ. Know your topic. In speaking situations, speakers are invited because they have something to share. In writing, writers wish that other people learn something from them. Adjust your speech or writing to the context of the situation. The environment in which your speech or writing is to be delivered determines that kind of language you will use. Once you receive comment from the listeners or readers, work on them. Take kindly on criticism. Constructive criticism will prove beneficial to you as you learn to address them. Be clear with your purpose. You should know by heart your objectives and communicating. Be complete with your message you deliver. Make sure that your claims are supposed by fact or essential information. Be concise. You do not need to be verbose or wordy with your statement. Be natural with your delivery. Package important words with appropriate gesture and movement exudes a certain degree of confidence even if you do not feel confident enough. Be specific and timely with your feedback. Input are most helpful when provided on time.
Principles of effective written communications or the 7 Cs.
Be clear with your statement. Always guide by your purpose on communicating. Conciseness. Always stick to the point of do not beat around the bush. Be brief by focusing on main point. Correctness. Observation, grammatical correctness in your writing. Always have time to edit and revise your work. Coherence. Your ideas should be connected to each other and related to the topic. Use transitional and cohesive devices so that the ideas coherence with one another. Completeness. Include all necessary and relevant information so that the audience will not be left wanting to end information. Always place yourself in the shoes of your audience or readers who is always interested to receive new informations. Courtesy. The tone of your writing should be friendly. Avoid any overtone or undertone or insinuation to eliminate confusion and misinterpretation. Communication ethics emphasizes that moral influence the behavior of an individual group or organization, thereby affecting their communication. Establish an effective value system that will pave way for the development of their integrity as a person. One's behavior and decision-making style affect, in turns, the operation of an organization. Provide complete and accurate information. Whether it is needed or not, the data you provide should always be contextualized correct. Disclose vital that are necessary for purpose of transparency, but consider the provision of data privacy law.
Features of language. Types of communication. Communication processes, principles, and ethics. What is communication mode? The communication mode is the channel through which one expresses his or her communicative intent. The medium through which one convey his or her truth. Face-to-face interaction. Face-to-face communication mode is the most common of communication. It is an informal or casual conversation between two or more people. People engage in social conversation to establish relationship or maintain them. It is one way of gaining new acquaintance or friends. How to speak, what to speak, when to speak, and whom one is speaking are all. Important consideration is building relationship. One advantage is that aside from directly hearing the message being conveyed, you are able to note visual cues through facial expression, gestures, movement, or even the object from the people you are communicating with. Video. Wave or phone camera are used so that two or more people who cannot interact face-to-face can communicate. Use Skype, FaceTimes, WhatsApp, Viber, and Messenger. Audio. Audio means transmitted sound. In this mode of communication, only the voice of the speaker is heard. An obvious downside of this mode is not being able to see the body language of or cue of the person you are talking to. Text-based. Text-based communication includes email or text messaging, instant messaging. Social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram offer text-based interaction. While text-based communication does not originally provide in audio benefits, it has a wider reach, can disseminate information to bigger audience quickly.
Now I am here to discuss about the varieties and registers of spoken and written language. World Englishes are the localized varieties of English as they are used or spoken in certain areas. In the Asian context, there are three concentric circles: the inner circle, the outer circle, and the expanding circle, in which the concept was introduced by Raj Kachru. Countries like United States of America, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand belongs to the inner circle, in which they are used English language as their native language. In countries like Bangladesh, Kenya, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Ghana, Malaysia, Philippines, Tanzania, India, Nigeria, Singapore, and Zambia belongs to the outer circle, in which they are used English language as a second language. Countries like China, Indonesia, Korea, South America, Commonwealth of Independent States, Israel, Caribbean countries, Nepal, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Taiwan belongs to the expanding circle because they are used English language as a foreign language. According to Bautista and Gonzalez in year 2006, the structural characteristics of these new varieties differ. In terms of social features, differences can also be highlighted in that there is a continuum of basilectal, mesolectal, and acrolectal varieties of English within the speech community. Acrolect comes closest to the standard, while basilect decreases thoroughly from it and comes closest to the pidgin. Mesolect, or the middle variety, is midway between the acrolect and basilect. Bautista and Gonzalez used the term edulects for these varieties resulting from certain types of education ascertained by social class, but are conveyed or transferred by the kind of instruction of the school system, especially for those coming from higher income families and or better educated classes. Register is understood as the context-specific variety of language. To field mode tenor framework is important. Field may be analyzed in terms of the social setting and the communicative purpose in which the text is produced. Tenor may be described in terms of the rule or rules required of the writers and readers, including the cultural values shared by both. Mode could be explained in light of the knowledge of the other text required of the speakers or listeners and writers or readers as regards the genre, including the formal text features. Language register then refers to a formality of language which one speaks. Different registers are used in different situations. It is through the register that you are able to determine the kind of lexicon or vocabulary to use, as well as the kind of structure to be used. Informal register is more casual in tone. It is appropriate for people with whom you have established a more personal relationship, as in the case of friends and relatives. This type of writing may sometimes be emotional, as an intimate relationship exists between the speaker and listeners, or writer and reader. Formal register is appropriate for use in professional writing like project proposals, position papers, and business letters, as in the case of writing to a superior or to a head of a certain organization. It is more impersonal, objective, and factual. Next is coping with the challenges of intercultural communication. It has become a widespread notion that speakers' use of different languages result in intercultural miscommunication and misunderstanding. The lack of shared knowledge and beliefs and the cultural diversity make it more complicated to arrive at the correct inference or interpretation of meanings. It is thus important to emphasize that the ownership of English cannot be attributed to just one country or to those who use it as a native or home language. According to Mercord in year 2000, as cited by Cower in year 2006, emphasizes that communication in English as a lingua franca is a form of intercultural communication characterized by cooperation rather than misunderstanding. Misunderstanding in intercultural communication may not always be caused by verbal utterances. Misunderstanding may also occur due to wrong interpretation of the nonverbal code. It is always challenging to deal with people from different cultures. The challenge lies in the way of understanding not only the verbal code but also the nonverbal code. Misunderstanding between people of different cultures can be caused by the following: ambiguity, performance-related misunderstanding, language-related misunderstanding, gaps in world knowledge, and local context. To better understand the concept of intercultural communication, there are three approaches explained by Martin and Nakayama in year 2010 can be studied. Intercultural communication can be studied through the functionalist approach, interpretive approach, and critical approach.
So, globalization is the process by which people and goods move easily across the borders. Principally, it's an economic concept, the integrations of markets, trade, and investment with few barriers to slow the flow of product and services between nations. Globalization has brought benefits to many people, but not to everyone. How did globalization happen?
We might think of globalization as a relatively new phenomenon, but it's been around for centuries.
What drives it?
Globalization has expanded up enormously over the last half century, thanks to great leaps in technology.
The internet has revolutionized connectivity and communication and helped people share their ideas much more widely, just as the intervention of the printing press did in the 15th century. The advent of email made communication faster than ever.
Globalization has led to many millions of people being lifted out of poverty. While some areas have flourished, others have plundered as job and commerce moved elsewhere still companies in UK. For example, once tried providing work for hundreds of thousands of people, but when China began producing cheaper steel plant in the UK closed down and thousands of jobs were lost. Every step forward in technology brings with it new dangers. Computers have vastly improved our lives, but cyber criminals steal millions of pound a year. Global wealth has skyrocketed, but so has global warming.
So Philippines spend more time on social media sites than anyone else in the world. Going online roughly 4 hours and 17 minutes a day according to report released on Tuesday. So Brazilian and Argentina's followed closely behind, spending 3 hours and 43 minutes and 3 hours and 32 minutes on social media respectively, the report said. The United States, where many of the social media players were founded, is among the bottom half, with Americans spending an average of just 2 hours and 6 seconds per day. The least active were the Japanese, who log on an average of just 40 minutes daily. The Philippine social media usage was in stark contrast to its internet speed. Fixed broadband here is among the slowest in Asia Pacific, while mobile connections are among the fastest according to the most recent Akamai report. The Philippines, Brazil, and Argentina have an average fixed line broadband speed of 4.2 megabytes or Mbps, 5.5 Mbps, and 5 Mbps respectively. South Korea, with 26.3 Mbps, and its citizens just spend about 1 hour and 11 minutes a day on social media. Internet use rise. According to report, the Philippines' internet and social media users grow over 25% up to 13 and 12 million over last year's respectively. Around the world, internet users grow 10% or an additional 354 million people, while active social media users improve 21% or an additional of 482 million. Global active netizens using mobile phones and other devices surged 30% or another 581 million people. The total internet penetration rate stood at 50% or 3.77 billion people, the report showed. Half of the world population is now online, which is a testament of the speed with which digital connectivity is helping to improve people's lives, said Simon Kemp, a consultant at We Are Social. The 2016 report has been downloaded 70,000 times and read 2.6 million times on Slideshare so far. Thank you for watching.